Welcome everyone, my name is Iman.
And I'm Amal.
And welcome back to another episode of the Weird and Wonderful podcast. This is our last episode of season 2. And this week we are talking about oversharing. All aspects of oversharing. I'm an oversharer.
Yes.
I do not deny. And I think the reason why I overshare... I think it's important to establish that there is different types of oversharing.
Right.
There's oversharing in person.
Yeah.
When you're like chilling with your girlfriends, you're like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And then there's also oversharing, I guess, virtually. Mm-hmm. So like either be on social media or YouTube or whatever. So I guess let's first talk about oversharing in person.
Okay.
I am an oversharer just by nature. I think it's because I'm a very chatty person and I love to tell stories A to Z, 1 to 10. Like if I am just...
Capital A dot small a dot 1.
I love to give stories with rich detail.
Sometimes you're just like, okay, what is your point? Like, can you please... Yeah, I feel like that a lot when you tell stories. No, not a lot. I mean, yeah, I've come to accept you as this is who you are.
Yeah.
So I kind of just like, okay, Iman's going to tell a story. Let me go to the bathroom first. You know,
let me put
just
aside
get
half
some
an hour.
popcorn. Yeah, but...
And the story can be just as simple as what I had for lunch.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just someone that just loves to tell stories, and Ashraf always not scolds me, but he's always like saying, what is easy penting? Like, I don't want the paragraph. I just want...
What is the rangka of this karangan?
Exactly. And I guess in that sense that some people do put up with it, but I do understand how some people are like, you know, I don't want to listen to your stories. Mm-hmm. But it's innate in me that I just love to share.
Right.
With people, but not with everyone. With like people that I'm close to. Mm-hmm. And I read an article the other day and the title was, do you overshare? And I was like... Yes, I do. Well, yes, I do. And it said things that I've never thought of before. Like sometimes when you're oversharing, you have to think about the listener. Are you telling the story for yourself? Are you telling it for someone who's listening? Mm-hmm. And when you're talking about relationships, like for example, when I'm talking about like my relationship with my husband, is that appropriate? You know?
Right.
So what are your thoughts on that?
You're oversharing or oversharing in general?
Both.
For you, I guess because we don't really have boundaries, you and I. Mm-hmm. So oversharing is not really a problem. Mm-hmm. But in general, oversharing is not my cup of tea. Mm-hmm. I might overshare sometimes because...
I guess oversharing means like when you are giving more information than the person needs.
Yes.
Right? Like, for example, like going to the bathroom. Like, no one needs to know they're going to the bathroom.
Right.
You know? And I think there's also a point of time as well on my Instagram that I was oversharing everything. Like, on work trips, I would like Instagram and like share what we're doing, what I had for lunch that day.
Can I ask, when you're like recording for your Insta story, right? Mm-hmm. And then you're posting live essentially. Mm-hmm. Are you actually enjoying? Do you have time to just sit and enjoy the ocean or whatever? Did you?
No.
So you were just like Insta story, okay, post. Insta story, post. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah.
Okay. So I genuinely wonder about these people who like post live. I'm like, tak penat ke? I penat tengok. You know? And just like, yeah, I'm wondering if you're actually enjoying the trip. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess maybe back in the day my life was very hectic and it was a way of documenting everything that I was doing because at that time it was like, you know, it was very exciting, like traveling a lot of time, blah, blah, blah. But now that I think about it, it wasn't that I didn't enjoy it, but I didn't have time to enjoy it. Mm-hmm. It was
because you're oversharing?
Because I was like sharing all the time. And now I think, okay, I can remember this one particular trip I was in Jakarta and it was a meeting and I had to go to the bathroom. I think that day I drank a lot of water and I went to the bathroom like 6 times. Amal, I Insta-storied every time that I went to the bathroom. I was like, going to the bathroom again. Oh wow, going to the bathroom again. Now I think about it, I'm like, why do people even need to know?
Yeah. I'm asking you.
I don't know. I think maybe that mindset in that time, like I just thought it was something funny. Mm-hmm. And I think my intention was just to share something funny.
Right.
And I think it really boils down to intention. Like, why is it that we overshare?
I mean, for me, back when I had Snapchat, when it was a thing, because I had it, that's why I wanted to share. I remember thinking like, oh, I'm having a meal today. Like, oh, I can post this on my Snapchat. So I feel like because I had Snapchat, that was why I felt the need to share anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I decided to get rid of it. And once I got rid of it, that urge to share was gone as well. It was deleted. Yeah.
I think I've just been more careful in my like oversharing on Instagram just because I feel like in this day and age we don't have much boundaries.
Right.
Like everything's up for grabs. Like just show whatever you want to share and maybe I'm just at that point where I feel like I don't need to share that much anymore. Like people don't need to see the inside of my house. People don't need to see my closet go, what's in my bag go, whatever. Like I share the things I genuinely want to share. And I mean, this might be like a sensitive topic or whatever, but sometimes yes, I am paid to share about certain products. But inshallah, I always try to only promote products that I generally use and I like and I want to share with people. So that's why I do it. But there are boundaries of like I don't share, like for example, my son's personal life. Like yes, I show that I do, because sometimes I get excited, right? Oh, his first solids or whatever, and I just like want to like post it. And that's okay. And then people are like, oh, why post it at all if you're not going to show his face? Well, that's really my prerogative, isn't it? Because it's like my Instagram page. And I want to share this milestone of him, but I don't want to share.
But why do you want to share that milestone with people, hundreds of people who you don't know? Like, why do you feel that?
That's true.
Yeah.
I ask myself why. Sometimes it's because I feel like I want to still keep being relatable. And I want to maybe reach out and hear from other moms who are probably going through that same milestone. Like I share his stuff more so that I can keep people engaged. Because like, I mean, social media is like, not to say it's my full-time job, because being a mom is what I do, but I feel like I still need to keep people engaged on social media, so that we keep our podcast alive, so that I keep my other projects alive, and I want to share little parts of my life with them. So yeah, I don't show Baba's face or his name, and I appreciate the people that do respect that. But there are those like quote unquote haters. Again, haters is a very like strong word. Dislikers that just love to like have an argument like, oh, kalau tak nak tunjuk, tak payahlah tunjuk langsung. Okay, I understand where you're coming from, but again, it is...
Yeah, that's another thing. People who dislike, why do we even follow the people we don't like?
Right.
Like, I mean, I can understand it. There's some people on like online who like, you're just like, tapi tengok juga kan?
Right.
Like, I wonder why. I mean, because I do that too. Like, I feel compelled to go to this person's page, and then when I go to their page, all I'm doing is rolling my eyes. But why do you do that? Yeah. Is it because like I wanna hate on them for oversharing? I don't know. It's really...
Sometimes I think also like people overshare their feelings on Instagram. And their feelings and their frustrations.
Correct.
Like, oh, I'm so upset about so and so, and sometimes they do it in a very like outward way. Oh, I'm gonna pick a name like Fatima. Like, Fatima, you did this to me today, blah, blah, blah. And then sometimes they write it in really small white text on a black thing. And you're like, who do you expect to read this? Like, I can't see. I'm gonna...
Why did you even post that in the first place?
Correct, And then some people do it in a more like cryptic way.
Right.
Like, oh, I cannot believe you stabbed me in the back with your proverbial sword. Like, I've taken it open, now I'm bleeding and I can't stop the blood, that kind of thing. It's like,
wow, what accounts are you following?
It's very, some people post things, oversharing things like that cryptically.
Right. I maybe people do that because when you're in the moment, you're frustrated, this is your only outlet. So that's why you post. Like I totally understand. When I'm feeling, I would tweet something or whatever. But then, alhamdulillah, like I feel like lately I don't do that as much.
Yeah. I think I cannot do that anymore because of the following that I have. Because of the amount of
people that,
I can't do it.
Because it's all about people love to assume. People love to like, what's that word? Presume?
Presume, yeah.
People have to like, they read something, they're like, oh my god, what's happening?
What's the tea?
Oh my gosh, that's the worst.
It
But
is.
yeah, and that's why a lot of things come up, you know, a lot of problems, a lot of quote unquote scandals or whatever, because people are presuming things about the things you post. Right? You post this one thing and then people are like, oh, is something happening? Oh my god. And then this whole thing comes out of nothing.
Yeah.
You know, that happens quite often, I
Yeah.
feel. And I actually have a friend who she tweeted a little story and I read it. And she said there was a time when she was unhappy with somebody and all she did was changed her status. She changed her status to like a grumpy face, like a frowny face. And somebody to go her and said like, is something wrong? Like if anything is wrong between you and a friend or your partner or anything, like you should probably remove that frowny face, because people are going to assume things. If they look that you have posted a frowny face, they're probably going to think, oh my god, does she have problems with this person? So like what this person who Tagoha was basically saying is that don't give people any reason to assume anything about you that might get blown out of proportion.
Yeah.
Basically.
And that's this culture of oversharing that we
Yeah.
feel like we need to share everything that's
Right.
going on. You know, a little smiley face or like a word, even like, ugh. Like even
Yeah.
tweeting
You're
or
just like-
whatever, like, oh no. Even doing an Insta story, like black background, just with the capital words, ugh, like, oh my gosh, we'll send people like,
Yeah.
oh, what's happening?
Or if you kind of know that this person has beef, and then that one person A posts that, and you're just like, oh my god, person B totally did that thing we thought he did the other day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's very, yeah, like you said.
And
it
how is it that we overcome this? I don't think we can, because we're just gotten so used to getting all this information from, you know, multiple places and putting it together and just assuming something of other people.
Right.
And I try to be mindful about what I share. But when it's in my own circle of friends, I don't really have a filter, which I think is not a good thing, especially when it comes to maybe sharing about my private relationships, because I think it really affects the way you see someone else.
Right.
So for example, like when I'm hanging out with Yuka and I'm telling you about my friend Lara, I don't know, we don't have a friend named Lara, but I'm telling you things about Lara, not to like make her sound bad, but I'm just like, you know,
Yeah. But that
telling
only
you-
will taint my perception of
exactly.
Lara.
And I don't want it to taint your perception of Lara, so do I not tell you?
Yeah. Yeah. It's tricky.
Yeah.
I think we're just not supposed to talk about people behind their back, right? Ideally.
It's so hard
But
though.
we fail.
It's so hard. I think, you know, there's these, mashallah, we have a lot of hadith and sunnah for us to follow, and we have to do our best. But man, sometimes it's hard.
It is hard.
And I think, you know, especially as women, as girls, we're just, our tongues are just like, it's like our tongues are the things that get in trouble. No. Like I think our tongues are the ones that are gonna get us in trouble, because sometimes we talk too much. Evidently,
You talk too much.
no, you talk too much too.
That's true.
And sometimes,
Not as much as you.
no, it's evident in this episode. I'm talking a lot, but like I think sometimes I go home after like a day of talking.
Yeah. Do you feel like tired and just like, should I have said that? Do you get that?
Yes.
Yeah. I always. I mean, even after we record our episodes,
Yeah.
I always, after every single episode, I always think like, oh, should I not have said that? Like I always, and it just makes me very uncomfortable, which this is why almost I did not agree to do season 2. But yeah, I always have to reflect on myself whenever I have like a long day of talking. You know, I understand what you mean. And also like, I don't like to share on the internet. I am very, very careful. I mean, I used to not be, but now I am. Yeah, I just don't like people knowing what I'm up to. Just in general, just even people I know that I haven't talked to in a while, I don't really want them to know what's going on with my life. You know, I'm very reserved in that sense. Like I don't even have an account for y'all to follow. Yeah, because I don't know. I mean, I really appreciate that people listen to this podcast. They listen to, they like our stories and our insights and whatnot. But like at the end of the day, we still don't know each other.
You
I
want
don't
it to
know
stop
you.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know you. You don't know me. So I'm not going to disclose any more than what I have already on this show. And this is actually a big step for me in that sense. Like, I don't like sharing with people I don't know. Yeah. So we're just on opposite ends of the spectrum when it comes to like sharing things with people.
And I think sometimes some things like slip out when I'm talking, but I know sometimes I am intentionally saying something I shouldn't. So this happens to me quite a lot, quite often, which is I'm like hanging out with a group of girlfriends and we're talking, you know, and we're all laughing, membawang, gossiping, whatever it is, and it's my turn to share. And I know I shouldn't be saying it, so I actually say out loud, I say, Ya Allah, please forgive me. And then I go ahead and say it.
It's like the insurance.
Yeah, and I know that I shouldn't be saying those things, but for the sake of wanting to overshare, I just do it anyway. And I know what I'm going to say is going to get me trouble with Allah. It is going to give me dosa. I should not be backbiting, whatever. But I do anyway.
So maybe it's just something we all should work on. I do that too sometimes. It's just like...
Do you actually like say, Ya Allah, please forgive me, and then continue with your story?
For me, I reason with myself first. I'm just like, is this something that I can avoid telling people? And like, yeah, I think about it first. But then if I feel like, you know what, but if I'm like tired and I'm lazy and I just really want to tell the story, I do. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a saint.
Yeah.
Believe me,
she ain't no saint.
But then when I am like I do think twice about it. I'm just like, is this something that... And then sometimes I try to justify it. I'm like, oh, I could tell this story because this could help, you know. It's just like, so there's that too. So it's just something we both have to work on.
We
very
do.
hard.
And I have a good friend. You know who you are as soon as I'm going to start the story, but mashallah, she is such a great example for me. Like, yes, she loves to hear all these stories and whatnot, and yes, we have like a nice time chatting, but she always encourages me to never give out the details of the person. So tell the story, but don't tell her who the person is,
Right.
so that it doesn't give, I guess, as much dosa. I'm not sure, but she's always like, even if she's trying to tell me a story, she takes out all of the person's like qualities or descriptions.
So she concentrates on
the story. So I think that's a good first step. Not to say that that's, you know, the way to do it, but that's a good first step for maybe me to try and become better in terms of like my oversharing.
Right.
Yeah. So I guess what we could say to like kind of wrap up this episode is that, you know, I think pick your battles. Pick your audience as well, like when you're sharing things, and always ask what your intentions are. Like if your audience is, you know, your small group of girlfriends when you guys are out for dinner and you just want to share like a funny story of like what happened with you and your kid last week, sure, go ahead. But when it's like releasing your frustrations or feelings on Instagram or on social media, like ask yourself, why are you doing it?
Yeah. And know that there are consequences, essentially, you know.
Definitely.
Like, people are going to read that and people are going to think things.
Yeah.
Because that's just what we do. It's just natural.
Human nature, yeah. And I think the world is already filled with lots of really negative things, and if we can all put in an effort to just be more kind and spread more positivity as much as we can, that would be great.
Yeah, so so think about that next thing that you want to post when you're angry. How about you talk to somebody instead of sending little cryptic messages on your black screen in Insta story.
So thank you so much, guys, for listening,
for tuning in for another whole season. It's been great. It's because of you we get to
do this,
continue doing this.
And thank you so much for your support. Anything that we may have said to maybe upset anyone, please know that it was unintentional as well. Everything good is from Allah, everything flawed is from us, and we just want to thank you so much for all your support. So thank you so much. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Please feel free to leave us any kind of comments, stories down below. I would love to read them. We'll see you guys soon, inshallah.
Thanks for watching.
Assalamualaikum.